Welcome to the WACO Experience, an American story.
We, the people.
With your host, D. Scott Smith.
In order to form a more perfect union.
Interviews with leaders in business, government, and nonprofit organizations.
Promote the general welfare.
Jobs, products and services, and infrastructure for strong communities. Secure
the blessings of liberty.
The WACO Experience is an American story, a story of communities across America. It is your story.
He did not feel the audience was separate from the creative process. He wanted the audience to feel like they were a part of creating the story that was happening within these walls.
That was Kelly MacGregor, Executive Director of WACO Civic Theatre. The last episode of the WACO Experience, an American Story, was part one of our conversation. I was privileged to bring my recording equipment on location inside the theater proper and capture our discussion. Kelly shared the upcoming lineup of productions and began describing the history and design of this avant-garde, purpose-built theater. The WACO Civic Theatre is celebrating 100 years of storytelling. You can find the calendar and purchase tickets online at wacocivictheatre.com. I'm your host, D. Scott Smith. You can learn more about this program and sponsors and find links to the podcast version of this program online at thewacoexperience.com. Visit our sponsors, White Bluffs Construction, Custom Building, Home Remodeling. I encourage you to call Seth at 254-227-2002 and schedule White Bluffs Construction to build your patio, deck, or pergola. Visit their website, whitebluffsconstruction.com. Monica Shannon of Texas Healthcare for You is who we turn to for help with healthcare insurance. Call her today at 254-339-3421. Visit the website, txhealthcareforyou.com. That's txhealthcare, the number 4 and the letter U.com. Biddy and Beau's Coffee offers hot and cold beverages, catering, and provides employment for people with disabilities. Visit today at 110 Franklin in Waco. ChordBuddy is the world's best way to learn guitar. 100% US made, this learning system will have you playing real music on a real guitar right away. Learn to play guitar today at ChordBuddy.com. WACO Civic Theatre started 100 years ago as WACO Little Theatre. Following a nomadic existence in borrowed theater spaces, they landed in a permanent building, only to have it destroyed by fire. Many in the community saw value in having a civic theater. It was Madison Cooper who funded the new building. Mr. Cooper's legacy is the Cooper Foundation with a mission to make Waco a better place to live. We connect through stories, and stories are best told in the human voice. We are fortunate to have this long-standing tradition in our community. We pick up the conversation with Kelly MacGregor, Executive Director of the WACO Civic Theatre, as she continues to describe this versatile space and her vision for the future for this community theater.
This design was really interesting because not only can you use it in this current setup as a proscenium stage, but like I said, you can take all of the seats out of the middle and the bottom of the pit. You can reposition them in a circle around that pit, and now you have theater in the round. You put your actors on the bottom, and they use that as their play space, and you have a perfect theater in the round. I found these little chicken scratch drawings from the original architect, Miller, and he actually had all of the seats partially in the pit and then up onto the stage where our current play is happening today. But you can build risers and put all of your seats up there and turn your audience completely around and look towards the back of the theater. And now there's built-in levels for your actors to use that as their stage space instead.
So one of the fun things about theater is imagination.
Yes.
Right. So, and I'm thinking as the audience, obviously the actors, the director, the set folks, the technical folks doing all the light and sound, there's a lot of creativity there. I, as an audience member, also get to suspend belief.
Yes.
And come in, I don't know where this space is going to be.
Right. Yes. And you can, I mean, we have really fun plans as to how to stage each of these shows next year. But that was part of Paul Baker's theory behind putting on a play for an audience, because he did not feel the audience was separate from the creative process. He actually, for this space, he chose director's chairs because he wanted the audience to feel like they were a part of creating the story that was happening within these walls. And so he really wanted them to sit down in a chair that said, hey, you're a part of this, you're doing this, you're creating this alongside of us. And I think that's a brilliant way to look at it, because actors, I mean, we go through a very lengthy rehearsal process, and we learn the script, and we know the music, and we come with our we come on time with our text, and we we have an idea, right? But we just don't do it just for each other. That's not the point. We're here to tell a story to more than just us as actors, and we need that triangulation, that energy in the room of an audience. It's a felt thing. It's a real thing. We need that. We need that triangle of energy.
And this is one of the reasons why people can come to the Civic Theater here in Waco and be surprised not just by the play and the presentation, but by the environment that they're in.
Yes.
So you're not just walking into that multiplex theater, right, where all the seats are set
exactly
facing one direction. Yeah. You're going to look at the screen. You're going to walk in. You're going to have a presentation and then leave.
Yeah.
You're going to come in. You're going to engage every time.
Yes.
You come here.
So my friend Jamie Salter from the VLA, the Central Texas Theater in Killeen, she was telling me about a production here at WACO Civic Theater where it was a Midsummer Night's Dream, and they put dirt on the bottom of this pit. They brought in a truckload of dirt, and they emptied it out into this pit. They put real turf on top of it, and real trees that they borrowed from a local nursery. And now at the bottom of the pit was the garden where the fairies lived. And then up on the stage, they put Troy. And so they had these two different environments, and essentially the audience were on both sides. So it was basically, the stage became a stripe down the middle of this building, and audience were on either side of that. So interesting, incredible configurations you can have. Now, the dirt was probably a terrible cleanup job.
I would not have wanted to been a part of that crew.
I think we've painted over it several times in the years between, but
part of the mystique of the building, right?
Because they had to water it. They had to water that grass.
Grass and the trees and everything. What fun, though.
Yes.
To come in and to experience that.
Yeah.
So this building, and I saw the blueprints that you have framed up out there.
Yeah.
So talk about some of that.
So I was telling the folks at the Cooper Foundation about the history and the close ties to Madison Cooper, which I think some of them were maybe dimly aware, but some of it was news to them. And one of the employees was taking some people on a tour through the Cooper House, and that's on the corner of 18th and Austin Avenue. If you haven't been there, go and check it out. It's a lovely, lovely old house. But she was taking some people on a tour, and they were up in the attic, and she called me the next day, and she said, "Kelly, you'll never guess what I found up here on my tour yesterday." And I said, "You're right, I'll never guess." And she said, "Your blueprints, the blueprints for WACO Civic Theater were in the Cooper House since the 1950s. we found them. So our friends at Studio Gallery framed them for us, and they hang proudly in our lobby. Well, two of them anyway. It was the whole plans, like all of the electric, all of the different elevations, the different directions, and the rest of those are now at the Texas Collection at Baylor University.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
It's a great place to store them, but nice to have a set here on the wall that people can enjoy as they're out in the lobby.
Yeah, and they're that gorgeous blue color and very well preserved, yes.
Yeah, they look great. The whole theater here is famous beyond just Waco.
Yes. It's incredible. Back in the early 60s, we got international attention from the Association for British Architects. They said that this was one of the most innovative spaces of its type in the U.S. at the time. So that was a big accolade for WACO and for WACO Civic Theater. And then just I think it was 2 decades later, there was a book printed, and it's called Theater and Playhouse. And it was printed in the 80s, and it's an overview of the architectural designs of theaters all over the world. So they have the Roman Colosseums, they have different amphitheaters that you'll find all over the world, sort of ancient relics, and then they recreate the drawings of how those were designed. There is, like I said, the Roman Colosseum. There's the Festival Theatre in Stratford, Ontario, where it's close to where I'm from, and that was a theater that was opened by Queen Elizabeth herself, and it's a gorgeous building. There are all these historic theaters from London to Milan, all over Europe, and in that book is WACO Civic Theatre.
So London, Rome, Paris, Waco.
Exactly. Isn't that incredible?
There's a good bumper sticker right there.
Right, exactly.
There we go.
Yeah. And it was that special. It is that special. It's just an incredible design. If there's one little sweet spot right in the middle of this pit, and it's hard to find because there's a lot of chairs over it right now. But if you stand in it, you'll hear kind of an echoey buzz happening acoustically in this room, because right down to the smallest details, and including the acoustic design of it, it was really well thought through.
Yeah, it was interesting because, of course, recording for the radio show here.
Yes.
Coming out the lobby and walking into the room, I can hear it.
Yes.
I can hear that I can't hear it.
Yeah. It's incredible. There are things in that drawing too from that book that I still haven't, like mysteries I still haven't uncovered. There's a little piece of the wall right next to us, and you can see it's different. It's not the cinder block of the outside wall. There's this little section, and in that drawing it says light control over that piece of wall. And right now it's covered with plywood, and you can see the screws. And one of these days I'm going to get somebody to undo those pieces of plywood, because it's on both sides, on the indoor and the outdoor. And whatever is underneath it, I think there was some sort of brilliant idea as to a slatted system that could manipulate the outside light and be able to use that while you're in here. And I don't know exactly what that is. Like I said, it's a mystery that I have not yet uncovered, but I've moved just about everything else in this theater, so we'll see. One day we'll see what's under there.
So tell me about your memories here.
Oh.
You've seen, I don't know how many plays you've seen here.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of plays, yes, and I've had some of the funniest comments of people walking through here. They'll just stop in the middle of the room and say, "I've felt a lot of feelings in this place," and you should, and you do. If you have a season ticket and you come to 6 shows per season at least, you will feel a lot of feelings in this place. One of the first things that I saw here actually was before I started to get involved, but there were friends of mine in town that knew I had costumes, that I had kept some of the costumes from when I was in The King and I. So I had these big, beautiful Civil War era, gorgeous gowns, and so they needed that, and they were directing a play here, and it was a melodrama. And so she asked if she could borrow some of these costumes. So she gave me some free tickets to come and see this very silly melodrama. And and all of these ladies were in these great big hoop skirts, and it was a lot of fun. So that was the first thing I saw here. And then I had a friend who had auditioned for Les Mis when they did that in 2014. So again, that was a couple years before I started getting involved. But he gave me a ticket to come and see him play Valjean in that show. And I wondered how they could put a show as big as Les Mis in this tiny little building. Now, after having taken the tour, that it's deceptively larger than what it looks like from the street. There's lots that can happen in this building, but they did an admirable job of putting a monstrous musical like Les Mis onto this stage, and so it's a versatile little space. You can put huge shows, tiny shows. I was just in a show called John and Jen, and it was me, Jen, and C.J. Martin, John, and Sharon Lavery on piano, and that's it. Just 3 people. And so this space also lends itself really well to little tiny shows like that too. Tiny shows with big feelings. There was a lot of Kleenex was used in that show for me, and as the actor and the audience.
We're here in the WACO Civic Theatre, just a gorgeous facility, very versatile, with the executive director, Kelly MacGregor. One of the things that struck me when we first came in here, and my wife and I came to watch It's a Wonderful Life, the musical.
Yes.
Part of the family tradition is watching that movie. I had reservations, honestly, to come and see this classic re-envisioned.
Turned into a musical, yes.
Right?
Yes. Did you know that the composer came to see it?
Really?
Yes, Keith Ferguson and Bruce Greer was the... Now I can't remember. I'm going to reverse it. Keith Ferguson and Bruce Greer are the writing duo, and now I can't remember who did lyrics and who did music. But Keith Ferguson came with his wife and a friend from here in Waco, and also another composer, Robert Sterling. Yes. So they came and watched that. So you might have been sitting right next to the composer.
Well, hopefully you gave him a high five, because it was done brilliantly.
Wasn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that struck me is I did not grow up hanging around the theater, but my wife did. The old backdrops, the painted backdrops, the canvas that came and went. You've got a projection screen.
Yes, we have LED screens, and they're actually little, like, smaller units all snapped together. So we have them hanging right now, and they're sort of fixed in place, but we're exploring the idea of how else to configure them so that they can be more versatile. They are incredible. It's an incredible resource for us. We could split them down the middle and have two different projections on either side of the stage. We could take them all apart, and the computer would still communicate with each one individually. So we have a really interesting backdrop here. And what's funny was back in the 50s, Paul Baker, in his original design, he and James Hull Miller, the architect, they had this projection screen that was thought of way back in 1950s, and there's a very ancient projector up there somewhere too. Nobody's got rid of that over the years, but this was their idea. And although we have modern technology to do it, it was actually thought of far earlier than we thought of it.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So it's actually little LED panels that snap together
Yes.
to form this enormous backdrop that gives you a huge amount of flexibility
Yes.
in how you change the scenes.
Exactly.
Right. And the lighting impact that
Yes.
you have.
Yeah.
I thought it was a rear projection, but it's not.
It comes from within. Yeah. So you can, it doesn't really, you can't walk in front of the projector and ruin it. You know?
Right. Yeah.
We had, it really allows us to travel the world that way. I mean, we had Notre Dame of Paris right here in WACO Civic Theatre. Ryan Joyner from Baylor Theatre designed our projections for us. We have some really cool projects coming up with him too, and I'd love to talk about those later. But yeah, he designed those beautiful, and so we had the bell tower and we had the interior, and then at the very end, as they're singing about a dream of a better world and a better place and a more beautiful and more loving place, he had the moving projection of Notre Dame from the base all the way up to the heavens, passing by behind this gorgeous choir. It was magical.
We were talking about the emotions that are generated when you come and engage as an audience with everybody that's putting on the play or the musical. I just go back to a whole opportunity for the audience to engage. So you've been a director.
Yes.
And you say, as you direct, you get to that point where you basically set the cast free and you step back.
Yes.
And then you get to sit into the audience and experience that.
Yeah.
Tell me about one of those emotional times that was surprising to you when you let that cast go.
I'll have to go. I guess it's a recency effect to an extent because Hunchback was so recent, but that cast went through a lot during the rehearsal process. There was a lot happening with them, with individual members personally. Lots of pretty deep tragedies were going on. During the run, our stage manager went through a major health crisis too, so we needed someone to jump in and take over their responsibilities. And we adored our stage manager. So all of us rallying around them, just making sure that they knew that they were loved and thought of and prayed for. And so during the run of that show, we just went through a lot. And there was a really beautiful coming together of support and encouragement for one another from that cast. And then, of course, the subject matter of Hunchback is the idea that the outcast is accepted, the idea that the outcast is important and precious. And that's the whole theme of it. So the ending ends like Victor Hugo wanted it to end not how Disney had it end, which is a vast difference. You know, if you think about Les Mis and like all of the other things
I have read
exactly.
The Hunchback. So yes.
Hunchback, exactly. The ending is hard. It's difficult, and the music is hopeful. It ends on a beautiful note of hope for the future and for what the world could be someday. And it felt so relevant, and it felt so pertinent to our world. I just think it's one of those universal things that will feel relevant anytime. Knowing what my cast had gone through, knowing how emotional they were presenting this material, and then knowing that it was deeply both personal and it just hit them in a really, really meaningful way. And then sitting here in the audience and then feeling all of the feelings of the audience members around you as they took it all in. That was a wild roller coaster of emotion for that, but really, really good. Like it was a good thing.
This is an important part because us mortals out here, we all experience emotions, but it's at a part of our brain where we don't have the capacity for language. Mm-hmm. And so we need the artists, the painters, the musicians, the actors to help put form and substance to those emotions.
Exactly. And the best way to explain a musical is when the emotions of a scene get so big that you can't just express it in mere words anymore. You have to add now more of those layers of exactly what you're talking about, right? Where there's more art to it. There's more music. There's more to undergird where that emotional level is.
Let's talk about the future.
I would love to. This building, this beautiful, beautiful building that I am just so impressed with, and we are so lucky to have here in Waco, Texas. It was built in 1958, and so there are some limitations to it. The space, of course, we can seat 212 people in here right now. If we move the sound booth, we can put a few more people in this space. And if we reconfigure some of these chairs too, we can probably fit a few more chairs in here. It's more than they intended. In the 1950s, Paul Baker bought 150 director's chairs. So that's more capacity than
and thank you for choosing something more comfortable.
You know, I figured our modern audiences for a 3-hour musical were not going to be happy in a director's chair. But thanks to the Cooper Foundation, we do have these brand new chairs, and they're super comfy. So great to sit here for. And also, I've chose very specifically too because our audience, our people are different. Our people are larger than they were in the 50s, and we are taller. We take up more space, and we need more space in our chairs. So I only have half of our chairs have arms, and half of them do not. So there's a place for everyone here, and that was really important to me, so that everyone could feel welcome and everyone could feel comfortable being here. In addition to that, our bathrooms are a little bit limited. The lineups get very long because there's only 1 for men and 3 for women, and actually that makes the women's line go faster, believe it or not. But it's still, and it's barely ADA accessible. And then the other thing that is not accessible is our dressing rooms. The bathrooms inside the dressing rooms cannot accommodate a wheelchair. We have at least one actor that likes to work with us, and she uses a wheelchair, and we are devastated that she cannot come and join some of that camaraderie that's in the dressing rooms. So that's just not acceptable for 2025. So we are planning, and we're hoping to add on new bathrooms, and then the next phase of that will be new dressing rooms eventually. So we do have a capital campaign going on. You can donate on the website. If you just go to donate now, you can see where you can donate to the capital campaign. But it's really, really important, I think, that again, everyone feel welcome. No one feels outcast in any way, because that's not the point of a community theater. A community theater is to bring our community together, and everyone is welcome. Mm-hmm. So that's physically what's in store for this building. As I took you on the tour, you saw that the extra additions that people have given to us over the years. One of them was given by Frank Baird Jr. That was back in pretty quickly after this building was opened. They discovered they needed some shop space. They wanted to construct their sets here and some more rehearsal space. And so Frank Baird came along to see his little cousin in a children's production. And he was visiting from upstate New York, somewhere in Buffalo, New York area. And so he came here and he was visiting his family because his mother was Flora Cameron Baird from the Cameron Park family, those Camerons. And so he watched his little cousin. He saw what the plans were for this place, and then he went back home to New York and he said, I'm going to help that little theater back in Waco. So he sent us enough funding to add on to the building our shop space, our rehearsal space, one of our rehearsal spaces. Later on in the 70s, and another addition was built on. And so right now we have that as a dance room. And it was revamped with a grant from Creative Waco and from a donor in town. And we are just about to put some mirrors up, and it'll be a beautiful dance space there. Lots of things are happening here. We have phase one was to get the roof repaired, and that was due to the Cooper Foundation. And these new chairs and about to be new curtains are coming in as well. So that's pretty exciting. And that was all due to the Cooper Foundation. And then after that, we want to add these bathrooms onto the dressing rooms, and then we'll see where we can go from there.
It's fabulous, right? To be able to accommodate the modern audience, but still retain the whole theater concept. I just go back to the whole Greek theater.
Yes.
Very simple.
Very simple. It feels like a big Greek theater here, doesn't it? Yeah. And that amphitheater feel of the different levels and the acoustic, the magic that happens in these certain configurations that happen acoustically. It's a pretty well-designed space. So yeah, it's if you think about that, if you think about the origins of theater, I mean, how many thousands of years have we been doing this, right? Little Waco Theater as a 100-year-old baby.
Right, yeah. So the patina on the layers, right?
Exactly.
That is theater.
We're one of the oldest nonprofits in town, and yet still, in the grand scheme of things, we are young.
Yeah. Well, Kelly MacGregor, Executive Director here at the WACO Theater, WACO Civic Theatre. Thank you for letting me come in and hang out with you today.
I loved it. Thank you so much. This is a precious thing for the city of Waco, and I'm so glad that you're here asking about it.
And we want people to be able to go to the website. So tell them what the website is again and how to get tickets, season tickets specifically. Mm-hmm.
So WACOCivicTheatre.com, and then just go to the buy tickets, and it'll take you to the different season member packages. And so you can buy one ticket per show, or you can buy a flex pass that you can decide which one goes where. And then some of our premium memberships, it's just is your tickets plus a donation to us here for our operational costs here at the WACO Civic Theatre, so that we can keep these doors open and we can tell stories for another 100 years.
And then if people want to write the Civic Theatre into their will, or if they sell a business, obviously that's available as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can just always contact me at exec@wacocivictheatre.com. And then if you would like to take a tour of the building, if you just want to hear more about it, I am always here to give people tours and tell you all about it.
And Kelly, just share your last thoughts that you want everyone to remember about the WACO Civic Theatre and the Centennial 100-year celebration.
My last thought is come be a part of it. We can use everybody from the tallest to the smallest. We are here. We can use everybody's skills. If you like to hold a paintbrush, if you like being on stage, if you like singing or you don't, we would love to welcome you to this little family that we have here.
The WACO Experience, An American Story, is a production of D. Scott Smith Company, all rights reserved. Thank you for listening.